clicker is clicking. The pointer is pointing. We should be good. All right, so I'm pleased to introduce our keynote speaker. Maria Koutsona comes to us from ExxonMobil, where she has spent her entire career since she left here with her PhD in 2002. So in a momentous year of 1998, Dr. Andreades, myself, Pedro, and Maria all came to UB. Maria left. The rest of us are still here. And Maria left after 4 years working with Professor Montieros, who then also left about a year or two later, spent some time at NSF, and then eventually didn't come back. He's now department chair down at the University of Houston, and did some very interesting computational modeling, computational fluid dynamics and such when she was here. But her talk will focus more on advice for students getting started in your professional life. The last few years, we've gone to a model of sort of bringing in alumni who've had successful careers and hopefully provide useful advice. We've had different kinds of industries, and so we thought it'd be nice to have sort of traditional petrochemical industry that employs a number of our students. And we like Maria. She stayed in touch, very supportive of the department. Yes. So with that, I will hand it over to Maria.
Thank you so much.
If you want the clicker, this
up and
that's
down.
up and down and lazy.
Okay, hi. Thank you so much for the invitation. I feel honored to be here and emotional, so I'll try not to cry. It's funny because I haven't been back for many years now, and I came back in all those memories, you know, the furnace, the 6th floor. I was spending 16, 17 hours a day in that building. But I feel honored, and I feel grateful to this university because it opened the door for a great career and a life in the US, because I came originally from Greece as a graduate student. I didn't have, I don't know if we can, maybe the same time, we can, sorry. So I finished at Aristotle University in Thessaloniki in 1998, and then I came here and I had no plans to stay, to be honest, and for my PhD. I felt welcome right away. I felt home. The professors all amazing. I have only good memories, and I really mean it. And that's why I stayed in touch all those years, and I want to know what's going on, and I want to support this department. And I have a vision. I have a vision that we become, we continue climbing up, and we become one of the best schools out there. That's my personal vision, and I'll try to do my best and influence others. And I want also to advocate you guys, stay in touch. And all together we build a community, and we support each other, and we support this amazing university that we sometimes get it for granted, you know. But there is so much we can do. So I came, and it was a lot of hard work and uncertainty, and I said, you know, maybe I'll go back, and then I had a presentation in IICG, and then ExxonMobil was recruiting at that time. And they wanted somebody with chemical reactor engineering because they wanted to implement some reactor models in real-time optimization, and they wanted my capabilities. So I said, okay, I'll go, and since they invited me for recruiting, I said I'll go, and I have nothing to lose, and there is no way they will give me any, you know, offer. And then I got the offer, and then I said, okay, I'll go and I'll stay for a few years, and I'll work and get the experience, and then I'll go back to Greece. And here I am, 20 years after. It's, you know, very fulfilling career with different jobs. But let's start from the beginning, okay? So now, this is on a personal note. I have 2 kids. I had my kids later in life, so I'm an older mom. Most, maybe people my age now have kids in college maybe, or high school or something like that, and I have a 6-year-old and a 12-year-old. But I say they keep me young. So there's always a positive part of something, you know, that happens. My husband is a professor in the University of Houston, so I'm very close to academia, and I understand, and I stay close. I like traveling, I like reading, and I like working out just to stay in shape so I can keep up with my kids that they are so much younger. And they tell me every time, they remind me, you are very old. So I have to do something about that. So it's not about, I don't want to talk about myself. I came here with the intent to use all my experiences and try to be useful. So please ask a lot of questions. I hope it's interactive, and I know you feel that you cannot say those things live, and you gave me already with a page with questions, and I'll try to answer them all. But please, as we go along, just be interactive and ask me questions. I have no problem to interact me or anything like that. So I started my career in 2002 in headquarters in Fairfax, Virginia. And I was there hired as a specialist in reactor engineering to put the reactor models and the kinetics in real-time optimization models. What those models are models that simulate the process online, real-time, and they reconcile, so you read some inputs, and then you solve the problem, and then you measure your outputs, and then you say, okay, I simulated, I'm in a good spot now because I got the process, and then you have optimization variables where you try to optimize, and then you send targets to the plant and change pressures, temperatures, and move the plan with your optimization model. It was so fascinating to me because you run always models in your computer, but you never see how those models sometimes they can be used, in real life and optimize, units and do, the thing. Also, I want to say all the hardcore chemical engineering courses that I had, I use them every day. I use them all the time. As a chemical engineer working for, the petrochemical company, so, please continue teaching them. And we need students who understand those fundamentals, They are important. I understand the trends, the bio, and those are very important too. But don't forget that we are chemical engineers, what we bring on the table, Some of those fundamentals, please don't lose them. And then I was living the American dream because I was in metropolitan DC area, Washington, DC, single at that time with some money for the first time in my life. I was poor always before. And then somebody decided to punish me because they said, oh, you're moving to Beaumont, Texas. So I moved from that area to Beaumont, Texas, in a refinery, one of the biggest refineries we have there, and I stayed there for 3 years. And it was so hard. It was so hard to transition to a manufacturing plant. The culture, so different. I was a foreign national. I was one of the first foreign national women also in that facility. It was very challenging for them. It was very challenging for me. And I was, negative in the beginning, like with all change. And it's a human nature to always try to say, oh, it's not going to work. Oh, this and that. But in the end, like all tough things, you grow and learn the most from those experiences. So, just think about that. Think about before you say no to something, that it's like very different, because manufacturing, I was like, I'm a PhD, I'm a researcher. What can I do in the manufacturing side? You need that experience. You need to check that box that says, at least I have one rotation, maybe a few more in a manufacturing operations type of environment to understand how they run those in real life, what the problems are. Then that gives you some useful perspective. Then I went back to Fairfax, and then I built the reactor models, and then I delivered them at the site. So I was advanced control engineer. I did everything that I could imagine there. I was trying to go out and learn and understand the instrumentation, understand the turnarounds, how they maintain everything they asked me to do, I did, and I worked a lot of hours, and I tried to learn and absorb as much as I could with that experience. And my model went online, and I closed the loop on that hydrocracker unit because I was doing reactor models for hydroprocessing units, hydrocracking units. And I happened to develop the model, in the headquarters, the first of ever in the company, and then go and implement it in real time and move now and optimize the unit. It was so fascinating because I was like, yes, my model works. Yes, I'm moving the plan and I'm optimizing. But along the way, I also worked in a turnaround. I climbed in a reactor to just inspect the catalyst loading in a hydrocracker. I did a lot of things that, out of my comfort zone, and I was stretching myself to do different things and learn. And then went back, became the hydroprocessing technology owner, because I've seen it all from developing all the way to operations. So I became the expert in that technology in the company. And then I started developing the same concept for fluid catalytic cracking. You need also, reactor models, kinetics, and all that. So we developed those models, and then I did the same thing in Baton Rouge refinery to real-time optimization, close the loop for those. So I'm privileged. Not many people have done those things. Not all in the company had the opportunity to close the loops themselves. I was leading some of those efforts, so I feel privileged and honored that I had the privilege to lead and see all those things from start, R&D all the way to delivery and online and production. And now this technology is very successful, makes a lot of money for the company, so I feel very proud for this. And then I had my child in 2010. It was tough, so I decided to take the leave of absence, left the company, and I moved everything, and I went back to Greece, and I said, I'll give it a try, and I'll start working maybe and be closer to family. That happens when you have your first child. It's a tough experience, and you need a support system, and when you work in a very competitive and a very high-pace level, you feel like, oh my God, I need a break. This is too much now. I'm overwhelmed. So I went back, and I tried, and I stayed there for a year. I didn't see the support of the family. I saw only drama. I was like, I came back for the support, and I'm fighting with my husband all the time because, anyway. So I tried, I saw also, how the economy, how the jobs. I had an offer from the Hellenic Petroleum at that time. I talked to the refinery manager. They offered me a job. They said, hey, we don't need you, but because of the connections and everything, we'll hire you. I'm like, coming from a very professional company, with fundamentals in the background I had at that time, I'm like, this is unacceptable. I cannot do that. So I tried to find something that I'm useful and people need me, and I find my place. I couldn't. It didn't work out for me. So then I decided to, take my kid and come back alone. My husband had a tenure-track position in Greece at that time, so he stayed behind. This is the uniqueness that I was managing the kid and my career then alone here. But there are a lot of great programs that companies have now these days to help parents and dual career people with some of those challenges. So they have a backup care program where you call them and you say, hey, I need to be in Baton Rouge. I was in Fairfax at that time, and I was traveling to Baton Rouge, Beaumont, Baytown, in any place. And sometimes I was traveling to Europe, and I was dropping them to my husband, and you call the number, and you say, find a daycare close to my hotel, and I'll drop my kids, and I'll work for 2 days. And so you make it work, okay? There are programs out there and companies that support family, that have those programs, that they will help you to do what needs to be done. So in 2012, I came back. They didn't offer me a job back in real-time optimization. It was so successful at that time. Everybody wanted to be there. So I had no option to go back. They told me, you will go to scheduling, okay? This is one of the toughest jobs ever in a refinery, in any manufacturing, is how to schedule the refinery all the way from crude acquisition, all the way to final products blending. It's a tough problem to solve in general. There are no good models out there. There are no commercial platforms or software there is only some monopolies, some, Aspen has some models, but there is a lot of activity in academia. They try to work in that area. It's very challenging. It's tough. You support the coordinators, what you call the schedulers in the refinery. In our company, those are fast-track positions, so all those people are identified to become maybe CEOs, So it's very high-intensity work because everything goes wrong, and you have to schedule everything, and you are on call 24/7. So they put me in that position, and I had a lot of fun because, yes, it was tough, but I found my place, and I found how to contribute and build some models to help with some of the aspects that, they used Excel at that time. And I was like, oh, we can do better than that. We can blend with optimization models. So we built, the blend optimization models for gasoline blending, diesel blending, because before it was done manually, and it was not easy to do. And those are multi-period, problems that you need to have sophisticated tools how to solve them. You cannot decide today only thinking that today. You need to reserve some components, how to solve and blend later for some products, specialized products you want to make later. Are we okay, or it's too boring? And then later, I went and in 2000, so I stayed there. I did planning, scheduling, blending. I saw the whole downstream business, interface with chemicals, some chemicals, because I realized from your questions you don't understand. Companies like ExxonMobil don't do only gasoline and diesel and heating fuel. They do a lot of different products that we use in everything that is around us is made by some of those products. So I need you to, understand that it's not only what you think a commodity business and, and this and that. And, hey, what happens when we transition and we change fuels? We'll transition along the way and make what's needed, right, in the market. Because we'll discuss some of those questions that you guys have. So if I see why I stayed so long, because not everybody stays, and some people come, work for some time, and then they leave. I think, and I was reflecting and trying to understand why I stayed so long in this company. I think I have some internal motivation, what's important to me, and I identified that those are the 5 things that are important to me. So give my best any time. Learn and grow is very important to me. Be useful for people. Meet new people and visit new places. And the longevity and the culture. And if you see on the right, ExxonMobil matches all that. So provides the environment for me and what's important to me. And I think that's the reason why I stayed so long with them. It's a good match. So that's why I stayed. And that's why I continue to stay. So now I want to give you, this is I don't want to spend a lot of time. It says some of the experiences. I think I already talked to you verbally, some of the experiences I had along the way. They provided, of course, they provide to you everything you want in terms of development, in terms of opportunities, different things you want to do in your career. They have a career development also. You can have different experiences, because they do, as I said, everything from getting the crude out all the way to making useful products for the consumers. So I'm just highlighting some things. You can look at them later, maybe. I want to go to, okay, what is a great start and to help you in that transition. So I think the number one for me was to, and I see that why people leave the company and why people go through so much ups and downs is that they never went to number one that says, what do you want to do? What do you want? What's important to you? What are those 5 things that I told you earlier are your important internal values or beliefs or things that are super critically important? And then you try to find a good match and a good fit in a company that represents all those things. And it's not only one company. I mean, don't get me wrong that it's only one. It can be multiple, but at least it gives you some guidance about, oh my God, this I cannot do. This startup company is not for me. This high opportunistic thing is not it's not in my belief system. So you have to go through number 1. And you don't have an obligation to anybody. Yes, I understand you have to thank your parents, your significant others, husbands and wives, but you have an obligation to yourself because you're going to spend 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, maybe even more every day of your life in that environment. You need to love it. You need to want to wake up in the morning and say, yes, I want to go to work and I want to work. So what gives you that thrill? I wake up every day in the morning and I feel happy I'm going to work. I don't take sick days. Sometimes I go sick because it's for me better to work because I enjoy what I'm doing. So I want everybody to find that, what fascinates them, what makes them, yes, I want to go to work. Please do this. Then, number 2, and I'm not good at that, but I'm trying, I'm working on it, enjoy life. I mean, I was so serious all the time. I was like all in a crisis mode. Oh, the work will be there 24/7. You can work all the time, every day. In our company, it's like continuous process, never stops. Problems all the time. I mean, crisis all the time. I mean, you have to breathe, enjoy life, and be nice to yourself because we expect so much and we stress out about things all the time, and then to others, and then build a nice life so you enjoy. I still working on that because I have a tendency to be very serious, not joke around, and then when people started retiring, and I'm thinking what I liked the most from them, it was those moments that they would crack a joke, that we shared a personal moment, that we came closer and we said, yes, we work, yes, we are productive at the same time, we are humans, we connect, we are nice to each other, and I feel energized when I am with those people because it's my community, they are my extended family, I don't have a persona when I work. I don't go and pretend I'm somebody that I'm not, and I know some people do. It's a personal choice. You pay consequences when you don't have a persona and you are yourself. Obviously, you make a lot of mistakes, but you pay the price. So it's a personal choice. But I understand both ways, Number 3, build a supportive network. So I say here, please stay in touch with your colleagues, know what they do. Stay in touch with everybody you know, because you never know who from those people will be very successful, or you need them, or along the way, you might collaborate with them, or, you build a network. Give back, because, we took so much from this department, from those professors. Those are not jobs paid for what they give. Those people give their souls. I mean, I say some of the professions are like, for the society, we cannot pay them enough, right? The firefighters, the professors, the teachers. So we need to give back. So when we make money, some of us, when we are in private jobs or any type of a job, I mean, $1 makes a huge difference. So give back to the UB. Give back to this department. I give back, to be honest, to the Department of Chemical Engineering because I'm attached to it. But, have multiple mentors, and some of the professors can be your mentors. Myself, for example, that, I offer mentoring to all of you guys if you need me anytime. Hear different perspectives because people have, and hear perspectives from people that are very different than you. Don't hear things from people who look like you, who think like you, who are like you. Just try to get mentors outside, from different industries, share feedback, understand what they are doing. In your research now, try to have conversations with them, what they do. It gives a different perspective. You start opening up in a different way. Then have flexibility if you have no offers for your dream job. And I know some people go through, some people are like superstars and they have a lot of offers. Some people don't have even one. It's a lot that play a role. I mean, maybe the professor networking, maybe the research itself had more visibility. There are a lot of decisions. Don't take it personally. I say there are always jobs for engineers that in a high demand. They need people, especially in manufacturing, and those are the toughest jobs, I agree, and not many people want them because they are in the middle of nowhere. But I say go for them because they are a huge, I mean, you have nothing to lose, you have no other offer, and then you learn so much from it. You know, I don't say to settle in, I say start doing something. It's better than saying, oh my God, I don't have an offer, what am I gonna do? And then the time flies. And, you know, until you find something better, get in your pocket that operational experience, because everybody, wherever you go, gonna count that experience. And then for the company, when you start with a company, any company, understand, that took me a while, the mission, the culture, and the organization. What is the structure? Who makes the decision? Who influences those decisions? Those are things and clues you need to understand. The sooner, the better. Because then you'll start understanding how to look after those people, to understand how those people, you know, came where they came. Some of them will become your mentors. Who makes the decisions to influence those decisions? So it's important to understand, you know, the roles, the responsibilities, you know, and follow, I mean, some are obvious things. I say follow the dress code. Yes, I mean, try to be respectful of the environment. I don't see how some people go to a place and they say, oh, I don't want to follow the rules. Okay. I mean, nobody, to tell you the truth, there are people in Exxon that there is no dress code now. It used to be that you have to wear a tie, now not anymore. But some people come, you know, like they go to the beach. Okay, it's a different mindset, but I'm saying the majority of the people come nicely dressed, okay? So follow, I mean, you see how the majority of people, you know, go about it, and you follow the same. And then I say have a growth mindset and be confident, because many times people come from maybe smaller schools and they think, oh my God, how can I compete with this guy from MIT or Caltech or I don't know, big names, and they have all this background, they have Nobel Prize professors that I promise you they never saw them, because some of the, you know, I mean, you have to understand that the confidence comes from not what you know, but where you try to go. That no matter what they ask you to do, you're gonna deliver, because you don't know today, but you're gonna learn it. And you have gaps. Say that I had a lot of gaps and I still have gaps. And I come across some of them and I learn along the way and I, you know, grow from that. So have confidence that no matter what happens to you, you'll make it, because you believe in yourself and you learn what's needed to be learned and you'll succeed. It's a matter of hard work, nothing else. Not about smarts, not about, you know, backgrounds, nothing. It's how much work you put, how many sacrifices you make. The more successful people make more sacrifices. They are determined to learn what they don't know. Other people make the assumption, oh my God, if I don't know, I'm not qualified, and then they limit themselves. So be confident. Have a growth mindset. Use failures as a fuel where you want to go, not to stop you. You have hundreds of failures, and you see that in sports, what all the athletes talk about. Tell me, in every opportunity they have, do they talk about the wins or the failures? They talk about the failures all the time, because the wins are so few. You have hundreds and thousands of failures before you have one success. So you have to fail all the time. If you don't fail, means you don't do something worth doing. So failure is part of who you are, embrace failure. It's okay. I wish I knew some of those things from start. It caused me so much trouble in my professional life, and some of my assessment wasn't the best because of those things, and I'll explain. How much time do I have? Am I too late? So communication, and you have that question, I think, and I'll answer it now. Interpersonal skills. I was in North Carolina leadership training, where they identify some potential leaders, and they send them for a week in a leadership training, and you are isolated from business, and they have you there brainwashed about leadership. One of the professors in North Carolina asks, it was hundreds of people there, maybe, say, 100 chemical engineers from Exxon, and they say, please stand up if in your assessment and your feedback, you have interpersonal skill issues. And I was shocked to see all of them, all of us, stand up. I thought I was the only one. You know, I thought everybody else figured it out and knew what's the way to have effective interpersonal skills. Guess what? It's not easy. You need to be a superhuman. You need to have empathy. You need to integrate. You need to be a team player. You need to sacrifice yourself, sometimes for the team. You need to think about yourself, because if you don't think about yourself, then, you know, they don't like that. There is a balance. All those things, you know, you have to active listening. You know, listening meaning, I respect you and I hear you. Not I'm gonna say what I need to say and I'm waiting for you to finish so I can say what I want to say. Or arguments, so very important, very, very super critical important. And I don't know if they teach those things. You know, I don't have a good answer how you get them. I think there are a lot of trainings you can get now these days about interpersonal skills, but you have to look after, take leadership training, take interpersonal skill trainings, go online, learn about it, you know, have mentors. You know, I can point to you to some resources, but yes, those are very important. And it's not about assessment, because that's given, and they hire the best of the best. Usually the companies hire good people technically. All of us are capable. What differentiates people are all those things, like the soft skills. And what I've seen is that the people who are good in those things, they have an advantage. Build a relationship, create your own community, expand. You know, we said about that, you know, don't eat lunch alone ever at the work desk because you're too busy. Never do that. So always schedule one-to-one lunches and expand your network. Even now, how many times, I want to please raise your hand if you eat alone in the lab lunch. Be honest. Okay, don't do it. Okay, go with colleagues, ask people, you know, hey, from different labs, from different professors, from different departments. How many people had lunch with electrical engineers, with mechanical engineers? How many people had lunches with history major students? You know, expand your, you know, don't think that what you do is so critical. It's not, it's about life, it's about learning, it's about perspective, it's about different, you know, so that's one thing that relationships and networking is essential. Those people will help you later on, and people who don't build them are lacking and then complain. Oh my God, this company is so political. If you don't have the connections, but it's hard work, why you are not doing it? It's part of the equation. It's part of the rule. You need to understand what the rules of the game are, and then play the games by the rules. If you don't like that game, leave, okay? Schedule bi-weekly meetings, one-to-one, with, how many times do you have bi-weekly meetings with your professors or your lab mates? And I'm saying some frequency, okay? Bi-weekly or monthly, you need some frequency to have a report with your supervisor, advisor, to know what you're working on, what your prioritization is. Do they agree with what you're doing? Do you need to pivot because you saw something? Those are decisions you need to take as a team, and they need to know. And you engage with your team, and you engage with your supervisors. You are all in a good report, and you understand as a team what you're trying to accomplish, what you want to do, okay? So don't just work alone and expect other people will know. You need to advertise what the work you're doing. You need to go and like opportunities like this. You need to say like crazy, yes, I want to present, even though it's uncomfortable and it's like, yes, some work, but it's a good practice. Know what interests you, what you want to go, where you want to go, and be flexible how you'll get there, It doesn't mean that there's only one way, but at least if you know what you want, you'll get there eventually, no matter what happens, what the path is. So ask for those opportunities to present. Expand as much as you can with meeting people from outside. Meet people, network like crazy. I say networking is maybe more important than anything else. It's very important. And we underestimate every single time. And if you hear some of the entrepreneurs, they say all the time, it's my connections and these people and that people, and they are all good building that community and that support system. So we need to do the same. I have it wrong. I say ask for help, leverage team experience. I think that's wrong. I need to correct this and say healthy boundaries. And everything else will fall under that. Have healthy boundaries. What that means? It means that you have time to breathe, to understand what you're doing, to be creative. Don't have full schedule. 10-20% of your schedule needs to be free because you need to be innovative and thinking out of the box at that with intent in that 10 to 20% of your time. Because if you don't clear your schedule, it will never happen. I promise you. So to be innovative, it's a lot of work, but needs commitment, and you need to schedule time for it. I met a lot of inventors, people who have patents, hundreds of patents. They all told me the same thing. They have even more than 20% of their schedule free for creative thinking, from an idea and all that. So I'm not saying you want to be an inventor, but I think in every job we are, and that's why I keep a low percent. Depending the job we are, we need more or less innovation, but now, more and more these days, ask for innovation because we are in transition period. We need some very new and innovative ways of doing things about the climate, about the energy, about all those things. And so healthy boundaries in terms of you cannot deliver and you cannot be effective if you're burnt out. And I see that all the time with professors, with PhD students, with corporate. We are burnt out. We work too much. So having healthy boundaries where you rest, you sleep, you never sacrifice health, you never sacrifice sleep, maybe occasionally for deadlines, but it needs to be, not a pattern and the standard and the steady state. The steady state needs to be, I work effectively with intent, 8 hours, 9 hours, pick the number, and I'm not joking at that time. I am focused, and even the discussions I have with my colleagues, when we go for coffee, they are with intent to learn and grow. They are part of that equation. Don't feel guilty about them. But then I need to work out. Then I need to go and have my kids to drive them to the soccer. Or because life has more things, and if you don't do them when needs to be done, those will find you later. If you don't take care of your health, you'll pay the consequences. If relationships are not healthy, you'll pay the consequences. You cannot avoid paying consequences, so why not being smart and deal with them along the way, so then you don't have to pay any consequence. Oh my God, I have so many stories to say about this. How many times people gave you feedback and you said, oh, they don't know what they're talking about? Happens to you? It happened to me all the time. So it took me years. I don't know, I need to psychoanalyze that, why it took me so many years to admit I have certain problems, you know? Because those assessments in companies like Exxon, they assess you every year. And it's a 360, and they give you feedback from people above you, below you, around you. And, you know, if many people say the same thing, why it takes so long for people to internalize this and say, yes, they are right? And, by the way, even if it's not me, and they have a bad perception about me, that's a problem. That's my problem. I need to solve it. I used to say, oh, they don't know. Oh, they don't know what they're talking about. People who are successful and who get ahead are people who accept the feedback right away, no questions asked, and they make the correction. They make the necessary correction so that that's not a problem anymore. So then they don't even have to think about it. And I saw that happen in real time with some folks, and I'm like, it's so simple, why I'm so stupid? And why it took me so I think it's an ego thing, maybe, insecurity. I don't know, I haven't figured it out, but please accept negative feedback, correct it, and move on. It's very simple. Otherwise, you have to deal with it all the time, and it comes and goes, and it's like a disease, you know. Don't deny, don't argue, say thank you. And by the way, now what I'm doing is that I'm asking for feedback. I say, so please, give me feedback. How am I doing now? Is it boring? Do I need to speed up the pace? I'm open to suggestions, right? When you ask for feedback, you are open for people to say some negative feedback, and you take some action. And it's your choice if you want to take action. So now I'm asking for feedback all the time, and I say, please, I'm working on, if I have a developmental opportunity, and I'm working on be empathetic or active listener. I had an issue with active listening. I wasn't actively listening to people. Now I'm saying, please give me feedback. If you feel that I'm not listening to you, what you have to say, please give me feedback right away. So I'm asking for feedback now. Because then you have more data to analyze and correct yourself. The more data you have and you correct your behavior in those aspects of life, soft skills, active listening, on all those things we discussed, you start getting ahead of other folks. Because I bet you, technically, even if you are the star, you cannot get anywhere. You cannot get anywhere if you get along with people and you cannot work in teams, convince others. You know, you have to convince a lot of people for how your idea is brilliant, why your work is important, why you have a place in that workplace. You have to convince people how to do it, why they have to pay you, why they have to give you money, what do you have to offer. So, you know, this is another one that I see a lot of the times, and that causes so much trouble in the workplace. So we have biases. We are not aware of them, but some of those biases are, you know, are so limiting that because of those biases, you cannot get ahead. It's what some people said, what got you here, get you there. You have to open up. I mean, especially if you start climbing the ladder, because you have other people to report to you, you have more responsibility, you have more to take in, you have more things to integrate, you have more people to try to see where they belong and how to assess them properly and all that. You need to be very empathetic, you need to be very open. Right now, I feel like I'm fighting biases all the time, you know? I used to have bias for women in the workplace. I used to have bias about, different things, I fight very hard because I see that those things are stereotypes, not true, and they put people on a defensive mode, and right away you lose them because they understand. And the second thing is that it limits yourself. Nobody tells us that. But when we have limiting beliefs, we pay consequences. We don't grow, we don't learn, we don't become as effective, as impactful, because we are in our corner, in our world, and we say this is where we are and this is where we belong. And if some people make that choice, that's okay, it's their personal choice. But if you want to have an impact, and if you have to integrate, if you want to climb up, if you want to be successful, those are the people who are very successful, people who are empathetic, who are open, who integrate, who work effectively with teams, who say encouraging words, who are fun people to be with. You work with them and you say, yes, now I understand why you are vice president. Of course, you are the best of us, So you see people like that, they advance. Dream big, because sometimes we limit ourselves and we say, I said, I came from Greece, from a small village. I came to ExxonMobil. Okay, maybe that's enough. I didn't say, oh, I want to be an executive one day. And guess what? I'm not an executive. But if I said back then, I want to be an executive, I bet you I would be an executive now. So you have to dream big from day one, because day one will settle all the trajectory. And if you limit yourself day one and you say, this is enough, then that's what you get. So I want you not to have limiting beliefs, and I don't want you to have biases. I don't want you to, and I'm not saying that's checkmark, a check thing, but it requires work. Be aware of those things. Those things are very hard to transfer, and I apologize. Those are what I thought limit me, and I learned in a hard way. And I understand it's very hard to transfer, but have this list along the way and look at it from time to time. And call me if you need some mentoring, So I say good luck, enjoy the ride. You are not alone. There is a whole community. There are people who want to help. Majority of people out there, good people. They want to help, they want to contribute. So just know, be nice, kind. And that's what I have to say. And thank you. I don't know.
We could try for some live questions first, but we do have the pre-solicited backup questions.
Yes, I have some questions, yes. I prefer personally live questions, but I have a list of questions.
All right, let's let Yali.
Very helpful talk. I like your idea that we should keep some free time for ourselves to be creative and innovative. That's exactly my professor taught me. So I like it, and thank you so much. And I went through your linking. I like your post. One of the posts you said about the discussion about the kindness and the manipulation. Like you said, a lot of people may think, oh, if they behave very nice, some other people will take advantage of them, right?
Yes.
So I hope if you can give us some advice on that.
I've seen that many times, and I've seen that with my husband. Sometimes drives me crazy. I've seen in the personal relationships, in the work environment, where people say, oh, I cannot be nice, I cannot be kind because people will take advantage of me. But the whole meaning of being kind is you expect nothing. You just do it because that's the right thing to do, because you think that's the only way of doing things, and then you expect nothing. When you do something and you expect something in return, it's called manipulation. And people are not honest. Sometimes the mind is so smart. It tries to fool you all the time. Just to be aware of who you are, what your weaknesses, the setbacks, the opportunities for development, your intent, what you want to do in the world, takes a lot of thinking. And awareness. So please spend time thinking about all those things. Be nice, expecting nothing. This will be a better place for everybody to live, you know. It's a better world. So yes, I posted that, and you see that people get, you know, they are like, wow, because all of them deep inside expect something. Yeah.
So you talked a lot about different challenges you faced in terms of, and like different lessons you want us to learn. These all are like, you have to practice and invest a lot for each one of those individual skills, whether it be accepting negative feedback, whether it be specific, you know, time management skills or interpersonal skills. I'm just curious from your perspective, if you like look back, what's, of all of those lessons, which one would you think that you wish you had focused on harder and earlier, if you had to pick one?
If
There's
I had
so
to pick
many
one.
things.
Yes,
that
I
you're
know.
talking about.
And this is the
it's
difficult.
Not the most, I'm not saying the most. I'm not saying like this is the only one. But I'm saying if you really had to pick one, I'm just curious what you would pick.
Yeah, I mean that's a good question. I understand the prioritization people want because I threw so many things, and I apologize because yes I did. But the intent was that I want you to have this bucket list, and periodically later think about those things along the way. I don't expect you to absorb all those things and understand me 100% right now. But when you start working and you face some of those things, you'll remember, you'll have that, you'll remember. But yeah, the most limiting in my case was the negative feedback. It took me a very long time to accept the negative feedback and correct it. One day I made the decision, I will never ever complain about anything in my life ever again, number one. And number two, it's all my fault. It's everything you tell me, it's my fault. It's so empowering because that means I can do something about it. If I say it's his fault, it's your fault, it's my professor, my supervisor, it takes all the action away. Sometimes I think it's immature and it takes the responsibility from you because you don't want to take responsibility, control of your life, and you want to blame others because you don't want to try. You don't want to be successful because being successful sometimes means a lot of work and you don't want to put the work. It's okay if you don't want to put the work. You need to be honest about it. So I say the negative feedback and the implications, I don't know. And maybe the number two was the not enjoying, not the prioritization aspect, the healthy boundaries. The healthy boundaries that I faced a lot because I'm a workaholic and I work very long hours, like I imagine most of you guys. And I paid some consequences along the way, and I don't want you guys to go through some of those consequences. Thank God I don't have a terminal disease or anything like that, but I go through phases of collapse. True collapse where I stay in my bed and I cannot move my body for 2-3 days because I'm so exhausted. So why I have to reach that point? Why I cannot keep a steady state where I have healthy boundaries and because if you think about it, those peaks, ups and downs, it's not different than this. People all the time say, oh my God, I'm so productive. I work 16, 17 hours a day, and they brag about it. And then, yes, but later on a collapse is waiting for you. And guess what? For 3 days, you won't work at all. So this is worse than this. And in energy, by the way. The wind sometimes distracts, the energy consumption. We say we want steady state. Steady state, it's less energy, steady. We understand the steady state mentality and what that means, right? We are engineers, we are chemical engineers. It's the same concept in life. So, yeah.
Thank you. It sounds like you're process modeling. Thank you, I appreciate it. Great talk, thank you.
Thanks.
Well, first, thank you for your talk. It was really useful life lessons. And, well, my first question actually aligned with his question. But I have another question as well, because during PhD here, we have, longer hours, even when you go home, you're still thinking about stuff, right? So I wanted to know from your perspective, how did you manage that work-life balance after you graduated? And what is your advice even now for us, what you wish you would have done differently during your graduate studies?
That's a very important and great question, and how you transition from graduate school and graduate life to a real work environment. So I didn't do very well. I continue working 16, 17 hours a day. So I was working a lot, and I never thought life in that aspect of the healthy boundary. So everything I put in that page, I paid a huge consequence. And I put everything has my blood here, okay? I didn't just put it because it's motivational or somebody told me. It's things that I personally faced and I paid prices. So working very long hours, and I'm an immigrant, okay? I came from a different country. We always think in our minds back, why I need to be in this country and get a place from an US worker? I need to deserve this place. That means I need to work twice, 3 times harder than those people, you know? So you have some of that it's a limiting belief. I deserve to be here because I work so hard, I went to school. Those people don't want even to study. They don't want to become engineers. I deserve to be here. Why I have to work 19 hours a day? So some of those limiting beliefs, some of those insecurities, I have those gaps. I need to, my MIT, co-workers, they have all this knowledge and I need to pick up and I need to. No, have healthy boundaries. Know who you are and you'll get in there. And there is not that urgency in any place that is worth sacrificing your health, your mental health, your physical health. So my advice to you, even now, because I'll tell you something, if you don't do the change now, today, nothing will happen tomorrow. So if you continue this path of 16, 17 hours a day, it's gonna be like that. It's for me a struggle since now, since that moment. I have to convince myself how to close my laptop. You know how hard it is? I have my laptop with me, and I didn't open it all day today. You know how hard this is for me? This is the most I can do. I go to vacation and I have the laptop with me. Is that healthy? No, it's not. So I don't want us to be like that, and I try to say to the young generation, especially now that you guys have all this distraction with all this media and the social media and all those things, they are important, they connect us, but we need to shut down, and really focus internally who we are, what we want to do, what we want to accomplish, and think about ourselves, So I cannot stretch it enough. I say that it's very important. Relationships, the relationship with the kids, because I missed some of my kids' things, and sometimes I go home, and I try to balance. I don't have mates, I don't have nannies. They go to daycare, and I went through the very rough thing, having them also alone for some time, until they were 2, my second, and 6, my first one. I was alone with them, the 2 of them. So many times I go home and I don't have the patience. I say so many times, my colleagues listen to me. I have so much authority at work, and my kids don't behave. They don't listen to me. And then I start thinking, of course not. And it's obviously why. Because you're nice to your colleagues. You're positive to your colleagues. You're cheerleading to your colleagues. You go home and you're like, What do you expect the kids to do? So then you go, yes. So
Since we collected the
yes.
questions in advance, let's pick at least one from the
It's a lot of questions about the renewables, the policy.
Future of Exxon.
Yes.
Are they going
So
to
those are
like Kodak?
I want to do a disclaimer that I'm not trained from ExxonMobil to represent the company. So what I say is my opinion only, and not ExxonMobil's. But of course, I'm a professional ExxonMobil employee, and I carry some weight with what I say, I hope. I say that, I told you that before, ExxonMobil is not a commodity, only in commodity business. They are in a specialty business. We make products that every aspect of life, medicine, electric cars, the blades in the windmills, everything you can imagine, we make them. So it is very hard, and they are made from fossils today. So the big question is how we decarbonize. For years and years and years, there is a conspiracy theory who says that we knew that we were hurting the environment all this time, and we did it. We are not morons. We wouldn't have done something like that. I mean, those things take years to understand and measure, and when the data provided to us, right away we took responsibility. We said, yes, something needs to be done, and we want to do something. We are honest. We say what can be done with technology today, what technology needs to be developed. Some people are not honest, and they promise and overpromise. And look what happened to Europe. They thought they can go, very fast, and what happened? You know what happened. So we need to be serious. We need to be, understand the limitations of the technology today, have smart people to come and work for us because you guys want to go to bio, all of you. We need some of the smart people too. We need some of the people who are going to solve those problems. Those problems won't be solved from Google and Amazon, I promise you. They would be solved from people like chemical engineers who have an intent, who have a vision, who understand the limitations of technology today, who understand what needs to be done for tomorrow. So we are working on it. And yes, we have a lot of research projects in Exxon, carbon capture, green energy, name it. We are, I think, one of the few companies, if not the number one in spending in R&D. We have a lot of R&D. We have a research organization, the biggest, I think, for a company. It's very important to us. And the CEO, when they asked him, said, we are a technology company. That's how we see ourselves. So that's what I want to say about that. But if you have more questions specific, please tell me. It says also, despite this push, do you think it's possible to get to a position where society's dependence on fossil fuels goes down to 10% or less? Eventually, yes. But it will take time. And I don't know how much time and how much money we want to pay. It's going to be expensive. To scale it, make it cheap, it will take time. It takes at least 10 implementations, big ones. Takes decades of some of those things to scale up and become cheaper. It doesn't happen from, a good analogy is how the cell panels, the solar panels, how much time it took them to get to the price where they are now. So, and with so much push and so much money thrown by governments and stuff. So we need to throw money, we need to throw resources, people, just talking about it and not giving money and not having intent and not having government support, not having schools that want to solve this problem and having... I was very happy that some of the professors here do fundamental research for some of those problems to be answered, Separations, membranes. Those are important. Those are important things to get in there. But we need all collectively to work together. We're not enemies here, We just discovered, we didn't know that CO2 and methane create such a huge problem in the environment. Now we know what we do about it. And how to get away from fossils is not easy because all those technologies, Fischer-Tropsch, every green technology out there was there before. They are not new technologies. There is a reason why we abandoned them before. They are very expensive. The efficiency is very low. To make them work, we need to do some breakthroughs. It's not easy, but we'll try, right?
All right, let's thank Maria again. I think I'm going to be...
Thank you so much.
And if we could get Yeldi and Domenic to come back up for the... Oh, but Maria, stay up for the traditional... Anybody who gives a keynote talk gets the Crystal Buffalo. So who's coming first? Yeldi. Do we have a... And you get a buffalo. And most importantly, you get a buffalo. There's no rule I have to do this.
You from Texas. I didn't have time to get you something from ExxonMobil. Next time.
I still have my beach towel from when I was an intern. Thank you so much. Greetings from Houston. So